Revolutionary salute, top of the morning. This is Malik Aline reporting here for the Underlocking Key. I am the New York State chapter. I am the chairman of the New York State chapter of the Noble Young Lords Party. Boricua power, brown power, black power, people's power, power to the people. One Lord, one people, stay noble. Noble Young Lords Party. All right. So it starts off with this segment. All right. It's called the wake up call. Now, what's happening here is that you have Land King political prisoners that put their analysis out, and you even have Grimm, who's also another political prisoner from Massachusetts, that he put his analysis out, and this is all within Maiwis International Movement. And then you have the Noble Young Lords Party, that they also have a wake-up call as well. So you have two wake-up calls. You have one wake-up call coming from the Land King political prisoners, and then you have another wake-up call coming from the Noble Young Lords Party. Okay? All right. So I hope you have your cup of Bustelo, you have your medicinal blunt or something, your tea or something, relax, enjoy, and just listen. You know what I mean? Contemplate. All right, so let's see. Go right here. All right. So I can't pause the video, but I will take breaks in between. All right. So it says a wake-up call. The facts about imprisonment in the United States are that the facts about imprisonment in the United States are that the United States has been the world's leading prison state per capita for the last 25 years. With a brief exception during Boris Yeltsin's declaration of a state of emergency, that means that while Reagan was talking about a Soviet evil power, he was the head of a state that imprisoned more people per capita. And supposedly hardline Bulgaria of the Soviet bloc of the 1980s, the imprisonment rate was less than half that of the United States. To find a comparison with the United States imprisonment of black people, there is no statistic in any country that compares, including apartheid South Africa of the era before Mandela was president. The last situation remotely comparable to the situation today was under Stalin during wartime. The majority of prisoners are nonviolent offenders, and the United States government now holds about 500,000 more prisoners than China, even though China is 4 times our population. The rednecks tell Maiwis International Movement that we live in a free country. They live in an Orwellian 1984 situation where freedom is imprisonment and high confinement and retaliation for activism. So, now, that's one part, right? Cool. Now, this is coming from a brother, and I'm going to read what he's saying. So, what I read, that was from Maiwis International Movement and Noble Young Lords Party wake-up call. Now, this is a prisoner that's writing within the United Struggles Within inside a penitentiary. So it says, I am a brother who thirsts for knowledge, and my brother shares such goals are many. I am presently incarcerated within the New York State Department of Corrections, where the conditions are no better or no worse than the conditions for any of the oppressed under the malicious tactics of the imperialist rule. I have been assaulted twice by the beast, parentheses COs, while incarcerated for my strong desire to speak out against the injustice of the system. At present, I am in the middle of a civil claim against the Department of Corrections for their abusiveness. My constant writing to high officials of the department has resulted in me being retaliated against and finally moved to another facility under harsh and strict confinement and foolish attempts to discourage me. The lies told to my family as to my purpose here and as to the extent to my stay here at the facility are very, very misleading, biased, and malicious. This facility was supposedly built for the state's worst and uncontrollable inmates. So they probably gonna have them at 5 points. Confinement to the cell is 24 hours here. Recreation is to the rear of the cell in a den or a rec area the size of your average bathroom, approximately 8 by 6 space. It is my opinion that I've been placed here for the close monitoring of my correspondence. Since showers are in the cells, there is hardly any leaving the double bunk inhabitants except for medical emergencies or visits. Upon leaving one cell, total restraints are required, including chain belt, cuffs to waist, and if ordered, leg shackles. Also, upon exiting the cell, a medical detector wand can be used for any reason to examine the entire body, including body cavities. This new housing and its repressive policies are being used as a form of retaliation against those inmates who exercise their rights and utilizing the complaint system against New York State Department of Corrections. Thus, there are several inmates in here for exercising such rights. Since this is specified as being a special housing unit for the state's uncontrollable prisoner population, placing regular inmates in this housing confinement, it's a clear example of abuse and retaliation against these prisoners. Thus, the struggle continues, and it gets a lot worse. Punto final. Now, this is a Latin King political prisoner speaking. So what I just read, that was a prisoner. He's just a revolutionary. He fights for his rights. So now I'm reading the words of a Latin King political prisoner. All right. Ever since I was old enough to read a book, I was told to never judge a book by its cover, but I'll never know how good the book could be unless I read what it contains within. This has to be one of the wisest sayings here in America today. The true meaning of the concept is not to judge or stereotype anything you don't know. About 98% of Americans agree to this synopsis and say they apply this concept to their lives. To be completely honest, only 48% of Americans truly apply to this concept. A poll conducted with over 190 Americans stated they agree with and apply to this concept, but when asked about different events that occurred in America, they failed to back their previous statements. Carmen, if you go outside, can I get a black amount, please?
When I go outside.
Or and a leaf? All right, thank you. Americans try so hard to paint the perfect pictures of how we as a people should live our life. And once you are painted as something different, you are targeted for life. One thing I've been working to implement into society's mind is that the almighty Latin King Cree Nation is not what the government paints us to be. We are not, nor will we ever be a gang, a serious threat to society. These titles are placed on us by this imperialistic system we live in. Why, you ask? Maybe it's because they fear the fact of one united Latino nation. Maybe it's because we fight for our rights and freedom. As Americans call ourselves patriots, for we fight for our will to be free. Then why can't we fight for our rights and freedom? George Washington was our first president. But what do we know about his background? We know he colonized the States, and we know he fought off the British. Now, we also know that he was a lawbreaker in his home country. Still, in history books, he'll be remembered as an honorable patriot for fighting to free America. Maybe it's because we're fighting the oppressed state of mind for control is power. So if this government can control our lives, then they remain sovereign over us. But what about our freedom? Doesn't the truth of this land apply to us too? Even in America today, we, the Almighty Land King Cree Nation, have accusations upon us. Now, I'm not saying the Almighty Land King Cree Nation is a saint, for then I, myself, am a hypocrite. But just because 10% of our members decide to do illegal acts, does that necessarily mean that we're all bad people? Definitely not. That means over 90,000 of us try to uplift our heritage and give back to our communities. My question is, why don't Americans read the pages within our book? In the newspaper, I wrote a newspaper about 8 years ago called Amor, A-M-O-R. I read that federal authorities have accused 14 police officers for corruption and cover-ups, that the police abuse was overlooked by the department. Now, does this mean that the police department should be targeted because 14 officers neglected their duty? Clearly not right. Then why are we targeted? What about the Catholic Church? Should we hold the church responsible because Reverend John Georgian sexually abused over 130 children? No. I'm always told by state and federal authorities that I shouldn't be around the Almighty Land King Creation because one bad spoils a bunch. So, so should this very statement be applied to all law enforcement departments? To all denominations and court systems? No, right? Then you make any more accusations or assumptions? Don't judge a book by its cover. Looking around at everything that is happening in this world, one can't help but wonder what the heck is going on. Questions arise with regards to this reason for all of the death, disaster, and destruction that we are witnessing on a greater and greater level day after day. Why is this happening? What can we do to stop all of this madness? Questions such as these flood our thoughts constantly. Now, questions such as these flood our thoughts constantly now. We look at our television screens, and instead of it being the box that brought entertainment to our lives, it is now the box of doom. What is our role as kings and queens in this day and age? What is our responsibilities of followers of Yahweh? What is our duty as nation man and nation woman truly living the third stage of our way of life? First of all, we must realize that there are forces at work that are greater than we imagine. As followers of Yahweh, we must stop trying to shape His word to us into whatever is convenient for us. In other words, His word is clear. We have to stop trying to make it say what we want it to say. When a person has an addiction and feels they cannot do anything else but feed that addiction or a problem, then they feel that there is only a certain way to solve that problem. They will find someone to talk to that will agree with them. If they go to one person and that person disagree with them, they will go to the next person. If that next individual disagrees with them, then they will continue to go from one person to another person until they come up with one person that will say, "You are right. You have the right answer." This is the same thing that is going on right now concerning our way of life. Kingism requires a strict manner of living. It is clear in the fact that it is a life of service, of life that constantly makes us strive towards achieving righteousness, a life devoted to finding and following Yahweh. Yet, many of us fail to see that it is the lack of the full application of this that has created the world that we live in today. It is our responsibility to inform the world of what it is doing to continue the downward spiral. We had to announce clearly and in great volume that we have found a light in the midst of all this darkness. The source of light that has been given to us comes in the form of two written works. One is what is commonly known as the Bible, derived from the word Biblion, meaning roll or book. The other is our beloved King Manifest Constitution. Many of us feel that we cannot declare the words and teachings due to the fact that because we ourselves are not perfect, how can we attempt to tell others about the importance of living righteously? My reply to this is the following. Whether you personally apply the truth or not is irrelevant. The fact is that the truth is the truth, and if you know it, then you now have the responsibility of informing others of it. Waiting until the right time or the right situation in order to preach the truth is unrealistic. Waiting until you get yourself to a perfect state of being so you can share the word of righteousness is waiting for the unattainable. The truth is the key to the door of freedom. And if you hold that key, then you cannot selfishly keep it to yourself until all is right. In sharing the truth, you will develop a desire to apply it. In applying it, you live as an example to others. And living as an example to others, you are sharing the truth, thus it comes around full circle. A full circle has 360 degrees. 360 degrees equals strong king, queen wisdom. As the people have failed to fully follow the teachings of Yahweh and have taken the wisdom and the KMC for granted. We use what is convenient and push aside that which is too difficult to apply or that which impedes us from doing those things that we want to do, although we are fully aware that they are not righteous. In Deuteronomy 28, our Almighty Father stated clearly throughout his servant Moses that the benefits of fully obeying Yahweh and carefully following all his commands. He also clearly stated what the consequences will be if you don't. Many of these things have already come to pass, and they will continue as long as disobedience remains. Now, it is important that you understand that to sincerely try to obey yet fail is not the same as to disobey. Trying to demonstrate a sincere desire to accomplish something, it is important that you continue trying, even if you fail repeatedly, because your eventual success will come. However, to simply decide I can't do this, or not even attempt to do what you know is righteous disobedience, many may call it being truthful to oneself, while others may call it keeping it real. Then you must also be truthful to yourself about the consequences of your decision, and you must keep it real and acknowledge that there will be a price to pay for your choice. Beloved brothers and sisters, lovers and followers of this beloved family and tribe, sons and daughters of Yahweh, who is the Almighty Father, Kings of Kings, Maker of the universe and foundation of life, you have accepted a great responsibility. The moment you chose to accept the doctrine of kingism, you accepted to serve the almighty land king queen nation. In order to do this, you must serve Yahweh. In order to serve Yahweh, you must surrender your will and do what is his will, that none should perish. He has demonstrated extreme patience, limitless mercy, and unfailing understanding, and continues to do so simply because he wants to give each and every one of us the opportunity to secure our place. Wow. Deep words. We as kings and queens know this, for it is why we acknowledge a divine mission and why we state that we pledge ourselves even faithful to this mission. King Manifest and King and Queen Prayer. We have been given this mission to preach truth, represent righteousness, and illuminate the darkness with what has been revealed to us. This mission was first given to Abraham, which means exalted father, whom Yahweh later renamed. This mission was first given to Abraham, which means exalted father, whom Yahweh later renamed Abraham, father of many nations. The mission then continued down through the lineage of the patriarch to the members of the tribe of Judah. Out of the tribe of Judah came one who has also been given a divine mission. This mission began with a descent from the divine to the earthly. A heavenly son had to accept when his father gave him the command to become an earthly son in order to open the door for all to be saved from the consequences of their actions. Yahweh had limited direct access to him to a certain line of priests. Through Yeshua, which means Yahweh saves, that access was made available to us because of the sacrifice that he accepted to make. His acceptance of having to be brought into this world in the manner of man, living the life that man lives on this earth, and then finally growing into a man, fulfilling that which he wasn't here to do, open and up the Holy of Holies, so that we may direct access to Yahweh the Father. This brought forth our standing as a royal priesthood with the mission of preaching the truth that has been given to us. So it is through Yeshua that we have been given this divine mission by Yahweh. Thus, in serving the nation, it is necessary to accept the sacrifice that Yeshua made on our behalf in order to accept that it was the plan of Yahweh for us in order for us to be able to do his will, which would mean we are serving him. We are serving him, which would be accomplished through service to others through the nation, which is actually the objective of serving the nation. It comes full circle, a complete 360 degrees. Oh, I'm feeling this brother right here. The truth of the sacrifice made on our behalf, in order to assure our place as royalty, must be told. The fact that the assets that we are given as we acknowledge this sacrifice can be attained by others must be made known to all. By informing them of this truth, we are fulfilling what is stated in the icona. We become the new king or queen, the moral king or queen, the king or queen of others, the lover of man. What? The lover of man and the turning wheel of change. Okay. Look around at everything that is happening. Listen to the news and acknowledge what something way bigger than us is at work here. Take notice that things are lining up just as it was foretold that they would. Point out that this is a fulfillment of what has to come in order for Yahweh to complete what he has said since the beginning of time. Much of it we may not fully understand. Much of it may seem like nonsense. Yahweh states the following in 1 Corinthians. For it is written, I will destroy the wisdom of the wise, the intelligence of the intelligent. I will frustrate. Now Yeshua says this, feed my lambs. Take care of my sheep. Feed my sheep. I say this, you know the truth. You have it in your grasp. Oh, what happened? You hold the grass. What the fuck just happened? It just speed up. The grass. What just happened? The grass. Hold up. The grass. Give me one moment. The grass. Damn, man. What is the grass? No, right? Boom, the grass. Yo, this brother was going in. Wait a minute, bro. Hold up. He was going in. Here we go. All right, continue. This brother's going in right here, bro. Yo, salute. Know what I'm saying? Salute. Nah, I mean, he definitely get 423 from the veterans lane right here. Yes, sir. All right. Let's go. Yahweh states the following, for it is written, I will destroy the wisdom of the wise, the intelligence of the intelligent. I will frustrate. Now Yeshua says this, feed my lambs, take care of my sheep, feed my sheep. I say this, you know the truth, you have it in your grasp, you hold the key necessary to open the door. Okay. 2 books contain all the information necessary. You can also use the Quran. Necessary to complete this divine mission that has been given to you. Now, what will you do with them? Beloved of Yahweh, followers and lovers of this beloved family and tribe. This is a call to arms. Ephesians 6:10-18. May Yahweh, Yeshua, and the Holy Spirit of the Almighty Father continuously bless, protect, what's going on here? And guide. If you want to see a print of what I'm reading, just DM me. May Yahweh, Yahshua, and the Holy Spirit of the Almighty Father continuously bless, protect, and guide each brothers and sisters. Before I begin this epistle, allow me to open it by extending our sacred national salute and proclaiming my willingness to die for you. Oh, sorry about that. So that was his wake-up call. That was one Land King political prisoner. So I'm pausing right there. Now, another Land King political prisoner is going to give his piece. Let me get something to drink. All right. Okay, let me continue here. Yes, this is a good morning right here with Under Lock and Key. As I said, this segment here is called the wake up call. It's early in the morning. That's why I say have your cup of Bustelo today. This is the wake up call. All right. This is a wake up call coming from the Land King political prisoners, and this is a wake up call for Noble Yonlo's party. Wake up call. All right. So now let me read what this next Lanking political prisons states right here. It goes. All right. He goes, may Yahweh, Yeshua, and the Holy Spirit, the Almighty Father, continuously bless, protect, and each and every brothers and sisters. Before I begin this epistle, allow me to open it by extending our sacred national salute and proclaiming my willingness to die for you all. For you are all flesh of my flesh and blood of my blood. May you all be well and on the best of health, and may you all enjoy the forthcoming holiday season with your loved ones. Unfortunately, however, my words today would not be pretty. This is because our reality and the current state of our nation is not pretty. I have always been a man and a king who pulls no punches and tells it like it is, regardless of what hurt feelings it may bring and what the consequences. And this words and this article, I would not deviate from this. I have entitled this article a wake-up call for good reason. Okay. Salute. Because 90% of us seriously need to wake from our sleep and understand what is happening around us and what has become of our once grandeur nation while we slept. I include myself in this because for some time I too chose not to see it, but the fact is we must now all acknowledge it or be consumed by it. As I write this, I have literally dozens of issues at hand that require my attention urgently. All our present issues that have been and continue to cause confusion and dissent within our congregational walls. Now, while it's fair to say that this is not an unusual or unforeseeable situation for any of our nation's teachers or leaders, what saddens me is that all the issues and all the drama I am today faced with overcoming are from within. What is stopping us as a nation from nationwide networking and unification? We have internal quarrels, animosity, grudges, and brothers vying for positions of rank. We have individuals who put their own misguided quest for power above the interests of our nation, and in doing so have caused great turmoil and strife within our walls. We have brothers arguing over who holds what and why they should replace the next man for certain responsibilities. We have brothers forming separate factions. Separate factions, anonymous chapters, and in every way disregarding our nation's laws. What's sad is that though there are a percentage of demagogues whose agenda consists only of placing themselves in a position of power. Now, 90% of those involved in the internal disputes and conflicts are not bad kings, and truly do not love the nation with all their hearts. We need to concentrate on reorganization and reconstruction, unification and progress for the Almighty Land King Queen Nation as a whole. Okay, salute. Fuck states, fuck chapters, fuck boundaries, and fuck borders. As our King Manifesto says, there are no horizons between borders, and we are all part of one nation, natural allies together in one nucleus. Forget all that separate stuff. Being a whole state or a whole chapter, if kingism is to survive the trials ahead, we need to be a whole nation. To all who truly seek to uplift the Almighty Land King Queen Nation and bring forth a change in thinking, and who realize that reaching our goals is possible only through unity and uniformity, I say work with us. We have so many intellectual, ingenious brothers and innumerable with unlimited leadership potential. What holds us back is that for us, so long we have all been accustomed to leading, building, and moving on our own within our own respective states, chapters, and sets. Can you imagine, brothers and sisters, if all the talent, potential, capability, and intellect of those whom are currently at opposite ends of the stick were to be combined as one force for the good of the whole? If all were to unite and focus on progress for the whole rather than power and recognition for each individual, very one of you and all each of you say and do. I have said it so many times and I'll say it again. Fuck that rank shit. Fuck that power shit. I was chosen to and I have led to, I have chosen to and I have led the Massachusetts State Chapter for 7 years. And in that time, never once I have seen my responsibility as power or rank. I have always and continue to see it only as a responsibility, an obligation to perform, and an opportunity to use my mind and ability to better our nation. Those who know me know what if someone who were better able to do the job than I surface, I will be the first to step back and ask that brother to step up and take us to the next level. This is fact, and I have done it before, as many well know. Those of you who view their rank within the nation as anything other than a means to serve our people and a responsibility should be shunned. And as our King Manifest teaches, cast away before the seed of such evil thought. Those who promote confusion and disorder within the walls of our castle needs to be exposed and exiled. Yes, I am talking about a certain few specific individuals, and those individuals know who they are, for they know their actions are contrary to our nations and its laws. If you are reading this and you happen to be one such snake, fuck you. The only word beginning with king that suits you is the only word beginning with K that suits you is cunt. Cause you sure are not worthy of the title king. To all of our brothers and sisters nationwide, all those holy and righteous lovers and followers of our beloved family and tribe, all those who love and willingness to sacrifice for our nation knows no limits. All those who, like me, get a shiver when you salute another brother out of the ingrained awe for the beautiful nation we have been chosen to be a part of. To you I say, wake up. See what is happening to us in our nation. Each and every member, through our combined allegiance and dedication, is the core of this nation. And only through unification will we survive the many obstacles that lie and awaits us. I encourage all who read this to take these words seriously and take time to contemplate them. Those who seek power, recognition, and to transform our nation to a gang are relentless in their efforts. And as kings and queens, it is our job to line up behind Las Coronas, unite and build a foundation that encompasses our entire nation, not just one state and one chapter. Punto final. Okay. That's the Latin King political speaking right there. And I already know who that is. I ain't gotta say the name because he ain't put his name there, so I'm not saying his name, but I know who that is. Alright. So now, let me give the response. Monica Lean, Noble Young Lords Party, Mindwest International Movement. Alright. So Mindwest International Movement and the spokesperson for the New York State Chapter of the Noble Young Lords Party speaks to and from the viewpoint of the world's oppressed majority and against the imperialist patriarchy. Pick it up and wield it in the service of the people. Support it, struggle with it, and write for it. What is Mindwest International Movement? The Mindwest International Movement is a revolutionary communist party that upholds Marxism, Leninism, Maoism, comprising the collection of existing or emerging Mindwest internationalist parties in the English-speaking imperialist countries and their English-speaking internal semi-colonies, as well as the existing or emerging Spanish-speaking Mindwest internationalist parties of Aztlán, that's the Bambaret brothers right there, Puerto Rico, that's us, Noble Young Lords Party, and everyone that stands for Puerto Rican independence, and social democracy for Puerto Rico and other territories of the United States. Empire, Maoist International Movement knows is a newspaper of Maoist International Movement. Nota Rojas is a newspaper of the Spanish-speaking parties or emerging parties of the Maoist International Movement. Maoist International Movement is an internationalist organization that works from the vantage point of the third world proletariat. Thus, its members are not Americans but world citizens. Maoist International Movement struggles to end the oppression of all groups over other groups, classes, genders, nations. Maoist International Movement knows this is only possible by building public opinion to seize power through armed struggle. But revolution is a reality for North America as the military becomes overextended in the government's attempt to maintain world hegemony. Maoist International Movement differs from other communist parties on three main questions. One, Maoist International Movement, right, that Noble Yolo's party is pushing, holds that after the proletariat seizes power in socialist revolution, the potential exists for capitalist restoration under the leadership of a new bourgeoisie within the Communist Party itself. In the case of the USSR, which is the Soviet Union, the bourgeoisie seized power after the death of Stalin in 1953. In China, it was after Mao Zedong, at the Mao death and the overthrow of the Gang of Four in 1976. Maoist International Movement upholds the Chinese Cultural Revolution as the farthest advance of communism in human history. That may be true. However, as a Muslim, right, I speak out against China that is doing a genocide against the Muslims that's there right now. And everybody want to be quiet about that. And the Noble Yolo's party is not quiet about that. That China is doing genocide to the Muslims who are living in China. They are making the Muslims, they are literally legalizing rape. They taking the Muslim women and they taking the soldiers and actually telling the soldiers to rape the Muslim woman. They taking the Muslim woman in China and the Muslim men in China and they fucking them up and brutally and they force feeding them pork and shit like that. Then they taking the kids, the Muslim kids, right? They call them training camps. They're bullshit. They're not training camps. They're not just teaching them how to get vocational shit. Don't get tricked by that shit. Because that's what they do inside the prisons over here in the United States of America. Now, I mean, the sweatshops inside America are prisons. So that's what China's doing. China is manipulating the world saying, oh, we're giving them a new training. That's the same bullshit they said that they was doing with the Indians and the Aboriginals. That be giving them a new training. All the thing they doing is they brainwashing them. You know what I'm saying? They brainwashing them. So, nah. See, Noble Yolo's party basically says that, listen, you can believe whatever religion you can believe in. We just saying that religion don't guide the party. So, if you're a Muslim, if you're a Christian, right? Then boom, much respect to the Bible, much respect to the Quran. But the only thing that the party is going to take from them two is called liberation theology. Liberation theology, and to keep one thing in mind is to serve the people and it's for the common good of the people. And that's why it states in the Quran that the condition of the people will not change until the condition of the people. Oh no, the condition of the people will not change. No, the condition of the people will not change until the people change the condition within themselves. That's how that goes. So in other words, if you want the conditions around you to change, you want your block to change, you want whatever you want to change where you live at, your everyday existence, you want that to change, you have to change the condition of your mind and the condition of your heart and how you see life and how you navigate in this world. All right. Now let me go back to this. I'm sorry, but I got to point out what's happening with the Muslims in China. Communists in human history. Now, Maoist International Movement believes the North American white working class is primarily a non-revolutionary worker elite at this time. Thus, it is not the principal vehicle to advance Maoists in this country. Maoist International Movement accepts people as members who agree on these basic principles and accepts democratic centralism. In my next feed, right? I'll break down the Mount. I'm gonna break down democratic centralism. I'm gonna break down communism, and I'm gonna break down Maoism in the next feed. But this feed is just called the wake up call. All right. So I'm giving you. You understand? I'm Noble Yolo's party, but I'm also speaking on behalf of Maoist International Movement. All right. So Maoist International Movement assess people as members who agree on these basic principles and accept democratic centralism, the system of majority rule on other questions of party line. Now, the theory of Marx, Engels, Lenin, and Stalin is universally applicable. We should regard it as not as dogma, but as a guide to action. Studying it is not merely as a matter of learning terms and phrases, but of learning Marxism, Leninism as a science of revolution. Now, theory becomes, now you saying revolution? That's why right next to Noble Yolo's party, it says Latin American, no, it says, yeah, Latin American nations in North America. So therefore, I'm speaking on behalf for Puerto Rico, we still a colony. So the struggle for liberation always continues, right? And also for the Mexicans as well. You know, they land, they being kicked out of their land, all type of stuff like that. So we speak on behalf of Ashland as well too. So that's why in this day and time, so he's saying that inside the penitentiary, you have all these different parties, so they come together, united struggle within. So that same united struggle within that's going on inside the penitentiaries is happening outside here in society. And that's why, a lot of people's getting old on all walks of life. A lot of people's getting old, people are dying now. So no one wants to die with the wisdom. So it's called passing the torch to the youth. All right. The theory of Marx, Engels, Lenin, and Stalin is universally applicable. We should regard it not as dogma, but as a guide to action. Studying it is not merely a matter of learning terms and phrases, but of learning Marxism, Leninism as a science of revolution. I already said that. The theory becomes purposeless if it is not connected with revolutionary practice, just as practice grows in the dark of its path is not illuminated by revolutionary theory. That was Stalin who said that. It is my opinion and the opinion of much of the leadership and the membership that the comrade leader in question led the public to believe that our organization was some sort of labor aristocratic, like a comprador-like fraternity. All right, I already know who he's talking about. All right, this distress, mind you, all right, this is under lock and key. And basically under lock and key, it's all newspapers, right? So I'm just reading newspapers. I'm being the voice of the voiceless. Because a lot of people, these newspapers have not touched the hands of a lot of people. These newspapers is only touching the hands of those who are socialists, those who are incarcerated, those who are revolutionary minded as incarcerated, Land King political prisoners. A lot of people have not seen the brilliance and all that stuff that's in these newspapers. And it has been picked back up by the Noble Yolo's party. Alright, so I'm giving this to the people. And the Maoist International Movement has been picked back up as well too. But as far as everything being digitized, I guess they looking for more people in that realm who knows how to do all that. So they're doing that. Maoist International Movement is doing that thing. I let them do their thing. I'm just concentrated on Noble Yolo's party. All right. It is my opinion and the opinion of much of the leadership and membership that the comrade leader in question led the public to believe that our organization was some sort of labor aristocratic-like or comprador-like fraternity. This distressed us because we recognize that thousands of new comrades view these programs and took them as defining, like characteristic forming dialogue. In one instance, the comrade leader in question encouraged a comrade that the solution to his pain as to the loss of his brother due to a homicide was to go to the government for assistance and retribution. What the fuck? Wow, he snitched. No good. I might have heard, that's what I'm thinking. Let me see. I'm speaking too fast, but that's what I'm thinking. Hold up. I might have heard the simultaneous gasp of disgust of thousands of comrades nationwide. A comrade leader who documents himself as anti-imperialist supported the status quo so eloquently at the risk of confusing the new membership nationwide. Yo, who the fuck did that? More than likely, the comrade leader words were edited and misrepresented. However, the lack of anti-imperialist propaganda and the embrace of status quo protocol, I think I know who the fuck you're talking about, gave the nation a sense of supporting a national bourgeoisie lifestyle of struggle, and this was erroneous. All right, this part right here, this is Mind Waste International Movement, and regards to remember the wake up call from the Land King political prisoners. That's what that is doing right there. So the Noble Yonos Party is not speaking yet. All right, cool. So I see what's going on here. All right, so remember it's a wake up call. So this is another prisoner doing another wake up call, exposing somebody. All right, wow. More than likely, the comrade leader's words were edited and misrepresented. However, the lack of anti-imperialist propaganda and the embrace of status quo protocol gave the nation a sense of supporting a national bourgeoisie style of struggle, and this was erroneous on the comrade leader's part. Especially on such an immense media forum, it was contrary to revolutionary practice. Wow, wonder who was that? Neither here nor there. I don't know. Wow. I will go as far as to say that the comrade leader was groping in the dark because his path was not illumined by revolutionary theory. Wow. Well, they already know how to take care of this, so trust me, Massachusetts is up to par with political revolutionary stuff and all that. So, all right, I would go as far as to say that one of the insinuations and stands made in the previously mentioned interviews by the comrade leader was that underlined ultimately and we are a community service organization. He did not go beyond this stand except to say that we aren't passive. The Republicans aren't passive either. While actions of community service should be honored, it is important to understand that who or what the Almighty Land King Cree Nation is doesn't finish or even begin there. And they still holding on to that. I know who they shooting at. I know exactly who they shooting at. Something like that, community service organization, and they probably talking about Tone. All right. Or probably somebody else. I don't know. Revolution, anti-imperialist. These are the main goals of the ALKQN. But don't take my word for it. The King Manifesto Constitution. Who is speaking over here? Yeah, I should have proofread this. My bad. I ain't proofread this at all. Revolution, anti-imperialist. These are the main goals of the Almighty Land King Cree Nation. But don't take my word for it. The King Manifest Constitution clearly states that the Almighty Land King Cree Nation was made to fight third world oppression. These words by the authors, Papo King and Lord Bomba, rest in peace, are non-negotiable. It is my opinion that community service is one of the byproducts, albeit an important one, of revolutionary practice. However, not the solution to our dismal plight. A united front of the people against the imperialists will be the solution to our plight. All else is transitional until that day comes. Duh. All right. I tend to think that if the Almighty Land King Cree Nation would have adopted democratic centralism as its fundamental... they ain't adopted yet. I see. Okay. I'm just going to keep reading. I tend to think that if the Almighty Land King Cree Nation would have adopted democratic centralism as its fundamental organizational discipline, that the confusion caused by these interviews would have been avoided. If you want to be the spokesperson of 50,000 people, comrades, become in tune with the people's views, the tactics of the tricky imperialist interviewers, the revolutionary thought. Otherwise, you are unprepared to deal in that forum. Make sure that a previous written agreement with the interviewers be made, whereas your response are not edited in the least, and if possible, that the reporter has editing rights. Otherwise, there is no use in putting the Almighty King Queen Nation in the mainstream. If you do not have the blessings of the Almighty King Queen Nation national leadership and national membership to be spokesperson, then don't speak for us. It can only be divisive to do so, as these past 2 years have shown. Perhaps what is best is to create our own media forum to reach the comrades, and I believe that is what Myra's International Movement Notes and Rail come in. I am all too happy to receive criticism and all dialogue on this and other revolutionary subjects. And please remember that the New King Stays is anti-imperialism. To reach me right, Lord Grimm, P.O. Box 559, Cambridge, Massachusetts 02140. Amor de Corona. Please enclose 4 forwarding stamps. But I believe you can also do JPay. But you still gotta give them stamps. Alright? So that was Lord Grimm right there. That was Lord Grimm right there. Alright? So Lord Grimm is also, see, you gotta understand something, right? I can't really speak for other states. I can't speak for too many different things. I choose not to speak on certain things. But what I could say is that this is like what Lord Grimm is pointing out is straight facts. This is basically talking about the revolutionary spirit of the Almighty King Queen Nation. So basically he's talking about the New King Stays, the anti-imperialist stays. So I salute that brother. Now I mean, that's Grimm. Man, that's coming from Massachusetts right there. I salute him. Cause I definitely learned a lot from that brother, but I was incarcerated. But I held my position and everything. I learned a lot from that brother right there. You know, in fact, nobody on Lord's party. You know what I'm saying? I guess he's somewhat grooming for the Nobody on Lord's party. All right. Alhamdulillah. Give me a break. Wow. It just dawned upon me like, wow. Whoa. Ooh, wait. Hey, Carmen. If you can, like, can you go to the store and give me like a black amount if you can? Huh? A black amount? Yeah. And here, use this too, like a black amount and a leaf. All right, thank you. All right. Ooh. Let me get something to drink. All right, peace. This is No Young Lost Party, Malik Alim. As you can see, this is amateur. You know, I have to learn all this from the Manhattan and network, the Firehouse in East Harlem. Once everything will open up. In fact, I'm gonna see if they open today. To have a dialogue with them. But I will learn the skills to do better, because to me, in other words, this is like some type of journalism. So that means it's gonna get better. So when the podcast, when YouTube gets to 100 subscribers, that's when I could do the podcast. That's when I could do the journalism. That's when I could do the interviews, all this other good stuff. Different people talk about different things and move forward. You know, stay nowhere, man. Not saying power to the people. I'm just taking a little break here because, you know, I done read a lot. Yeah, that was a wake-up call from the Land King political prisoners. You know what I mean? All right, cool. Let's continue. All right. So now this is okay. So now this is the wake-up call coming from Noble Yonlo's party. Then, a call to reflection, a call to action. 1998. A practice of colonialism. The case of the Mexicans and the Puerto Ricans. Two people, one destiny. 1998 marks two infamous anniversaries for the two largest Latino groups in what is called the United States. For Mexicans, 150 years since the signing of the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, and for Puerto Ricans, and 100 years since the United States invasion of the island. On February 2nd, 1848, the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo was signed. A humiliated and defeated Mexico accepted the Rio Grande as the border with Texas and ceded California, Nevada, New Mexico, and parts of Colorado, Arizona, and Utah to the United States. Thus, the jewel on the crown of the expansionist and imperial design known as Manifest Destiny was set in place. The country, which in 1776 has declared itself independent from colonial domination, had now become the world's major colonizer. The Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, like all treaties which the United States had entered into with Native Americans, was not to be enforced as far as the native inhabitants were concerned. As the great Puerto Rican nationalist, as the great Boricua nationalist, Pedro Albizu Campos would say, the United States wants the case, but not the bird. What? Oh, let me see. As a Boricua nationalist, Pedro Albizu Campos would say, the United States wants the case, but not the bird. Oh, I understand that. This sentiment echoed the words of the Mexican diplomat Manuel Regon, who at the time of the signing of the treaty said, our race, our unfortunate people, will have to wander in search of hospitality in a strange land, only to be ejected later. Wow. Look at that. Descendants of the Indians that we are, the North Americans hate us. Their spokesperson deprecates us. Even if they recognize the justice of our cause, they consider us unworthy to form with them one nation and one society. They clearly manifest that their future expansion begins with the territory that they took from us and pushing aside our citizens who inhabit the land. While the treaty was lofty in its promise for the Mexican people in the occupied area, guaranteeing them the enjoyment of all the rights of citizens of the United States, the stark reality was another. Through all kinds of machinations, legal and illegal, Mexicans became citizens without any language prerequisite. In other words, Mexicans became citizens of the United States through an international treaty which supersedes national law, as they were not required to have any knowledge of the English language. At that very moment, the United States legally became a bilingual country, English and Spanish. If these new citizens were to enjoy the blessings of the Constitution, the United States had to become an English and Spanish-speaking country. Yet, the promise was never kept. Instead, through poll taxes and local laws requiring English literacy, English only, Mexicans were totally disenfranchised from the body politic. That was that right racist bullshit. All right, cool. No Violos Party. Now, No Violos Party, all right, PCM, a call to reflection, a call to action. Hold up. It seems like this is a repeat. Yeah, this is a repeat. Wait a minute. Hold up. Okay, hold on. Alright, no. It goes right here from this part. Alright, hold up. Go back up here. Bam. Alright. It says a call to action. Alright, No Violos Party, PCM, a call to action. Just that there is no solution to the 150-year-old Mexican problem, that is not a Mexican solution. There is no solution to the 100-year-old Boricua problem, that is not a Boricua solution. On July 25th, 1898, Nelson Miles invaded the island of Puerto Rico through the southern port of Guanica. Ever since then, Puerto Rico has been designated by the United States Supreme Court as an area belonging to but not part of the United States. In other words,
I need you to write the number.
1360.
30, yeah, I'm not going to remember it though.
Bam. 1360. 1360 manifest Mondine. You see that? Yo, I got interrupted, but this is amateur right here. So home team, bear with me right here. We all home right now. This is COVID-19. So I'm amateur. Y'all still getting the information. I'm gonna pick up from where I left off at. Just give me one moment. All right. Go right here. That'll be 2 Black and Miles. As you know, tobacco has been something, since the indigenous been doing tobacco, but it was the white supremacists, the imperialists that put all the chemicals in the tobacco to target, the non-white people. That's the Newport and stuff like that, but that's a whole different story, a whole different subject. All right, 2 Black and Miles and 1 Bluntville. Because it's not a coincidence why majority of Black and Latinos have a thing for Newports. It's something that has to do with menthol that targets the non-white gene. There you go. That's what keeps us addicted. All right, but I'll cover that some other day. I gotta find that information, but I know what I'm talking about. All right. So, but I'm humble. All right. So let's go back over here, and it is. All right, ever since then, Puerto Rico has been designated by the United States Supreme Court as an area belonging to but not part of the United States. In other words, Puerto Rico has been a possession of the United States, literally a non-incorporated territory, as a result of the adoption of the Jones Act, which fucking Joe Biden just extended it, Instead of saying, let's get rid of the Jones Act so we can move forward with the independence of Puerto Rico. Because it's the Jones Act, but no. Not repeal the Jones Act, revise the Jones Act. Because everyone that's alive right now are citizens by birth. So therefore, a lot of these fucking racist motherfuckers, they've been trying to get rid of the Puerto Ricans too. So we ain't trying to get fought up with that deportation shit. So yes, we done gave a lot of blood tax. We done fought a lot of wars. So we keeping that citizenship for those who already got it. You know what I'm saying? But we talking about the Jones Act as far as that double tax, that shit that keep us in debt, that shit that they want us to pay Wall Street and all that. When the Wall Street been all that shit. It's the whole freaking, it's the rich. Let's not forget that. It's the rich. No matter where you go, what country, where you at, it's always the rich. And it's about the people of, we need shit. We need jobs. We need to live affordable housing. The people. All right. School, education, adequate education. Make sure certain things are taught in education. If not, have a non-profit organization to give these education to the people because we know that the school's not teaching it. All right. So, for Puerto Ricans on the island, it was meant nothing more than they had to pay this highest tax exacted from any human being, a blood tax. I just stated that. Puerto Rico has now had the right to fight in United States wars, but had not right to representation. You know what I'm saying? Because to this day, the people that they send from Puerto Rico to Congress, they cannot vote. And nobody in Puerto Rico could vote for a United States president, although they're citizens. So yes, we still go back to Jones Act. Jones Act still needs to be revised. So Biden, we not losing track of that. Because the Jones Act has a fiscal board over Puerto Rico right now. And we know how these rich motherfuckers are. We know how these white supremacists are. So, and they trying to basically take more of the land, for the rich, so that the poor could be more poor and shit like that. And they're gonna try to scare people. And every time we come with with the socialist stuff. They're gonna try to scare people with the, oh, look at Fidel Castro or look at Chavez. They're gonna come with the bullshit. You know what I'm saying? This is 2021. Not today. Social democracy. That's what we're talking about. And that's what we're gonna push. We know we can't do a lot of shit from 1800s and all that. We done seen what happened. Ups and downs. We learn from history. It's social democracy. Alright? That Jones Act, the Boricuas, we know about that Jones Act. We still need to address that Jones Act. We still need to address, what's going on in the island, about what happened after Maria. We still need to address what's going on here with the diaspora. We still need to keep that brigade going. We still need to, save our people here on the mainland and on the island. That's the liberation struggle. And we stand in solidarity with other people's struggles. All right. Now, let's see. Puerto Ricans not had a right to fight. You see, this is my passion. My back. Let me drink some water. Hold up. Oh, wait. Excuse me. Sorry about that. All right. I had to get some water. Yo, this is good wake-up call. I hope I ain't even got no coffee, but I drink my coffee early in the morning. Now, I'm just drinking water right now. Because, when you drink coffee, it says when you drink one cup of coffee, you need to drink 3 cups of water right behind it because you do get dehydrated. All right, cool. So let's go. Puerto Ricans now had the right to fight in United States wars, but had not a right to representation. Remember the slogan that inspired and fueled the revolution of 1776. Taxation without representation is tyranny. For 100 years, Puerto Ricans, Boricuas, have, you know what? Whenever I see Puerto Ricans, I'm going to say Boricuas, because, that Puerto Rican shit, Boricuas have never been consulted as to their political status. Even though the structure of the island's government has undergone a series of reform efforts from the Foraker Act of 1900 to the Jones Act of 1917 to Law 600 in 1950 and finally to the creation of the ELA, Free Associate State, in 1952. The question of the sovereignty of Puerto Rico, the question of the sovereignty of Borinquen, but we might have to keep Puerto Rico because there's so much stuff mainly that says Puerto Rico, so. And you have a lot of things that says Borinquen too. And matter of fact, let it be Borinquen, so all that money, all that stuff could go for Borinquen products when Borica becomes free. That's why I vote for that. The day Puerto Rico gets its independence, my proposal is remove the name Puerto Rico and put the name Borinquen. And then make all products, instead of saying Puerto Rico, because the people already got the money from that. The rich already got the money from all the products that's made that says Puerto Rican this and then Puerto Rican that, Puerto Rican. They already got that. We got to switch that whole shit up. Get independence, Borinquen. Now, everything will be Borinquen. Boricua. The celebrities, same thing. Yo, push this. Boricua, Borinquen. You have more valor, more substance. That's self-determination. That speaks within itself. Because when you use Puerto Rico, you're speaking from a colonial state mind. All right. And my mind, I don't speak from a colonial state mind. My mind is liberated. All right. So, the question of the sovereignty of Borinquen is in the hands of the United States Congress. According to the Treaty of Paris of December 10, 1898, the United States Congress is the only entity which can decide the political fate of Puerto Rico. While every attempt, I'm going to use both words interchangeably. While every attempt has been made to denationalize and de-Puerto Ricanize Puerto Rico, and I'm not with that. Boricua, I'm with the nationalized, not denationalized. That's the American shit. That's that brainwash shit that they do in the schools with the You're in a melting pot. You're American, and you know, oh, don't teach the language. Don't teach the language. Or don't teach this about Boricua. Oh, you're in America now. 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 Now, fuck that melting pot. You gotta be. You know what I mean, as the melting pot. That's the white supremacists. Nah. We believe in self-determination, self-liberation, and self-representation. All right. So Puerto Rican resistance has taken many forms. And you can see this black and white flag right here. That represents the resistance. You see this blue, red, white, and flag, Boricua flag. They both Boricua flags. And they both revolutionary, to be honest. However, pause. You see this blue, red, white, and blue? Right? This is not the revolutionary Puerto Rican flag. This is the colonial red, white, and blue flag. The revolutionary blue, red, and white flag, which I have to get, it is, this blue right here is light blue. And everything else is red and white. That's the true revolutionary Boricua flag. That when people was rocking that flag, they was getting arrested, getting locked up and all that. It wasn't this flag here. It was the one that was light blue. Now I'm saying, so when independence come, you can't rock this dark blue shit. Now you gotta go back to the light blue stuff. All right. Go back here. It's denationalized and de-Puerto Ricanized Puerto Rico. Puerto Ricans have resisted. Puerto Rican resistance has taken many forms. From direct political action and cultural resistance and civil disobedience. For their resistance, like Mexicans, Boricuas had to pay a very heavy price, including massacres, bombings, imprisonment, for acts like 20 years or more, and assassination of their people. A lot of them just got released. Like Oscar de Rivera just got released. You know what I'm saying? We still had like about 1 or 2 more that's still up in there. Cause Clinton, see what happened was, and that was a whole political bullshit, you know what I'm saying, to get Hillary into office. So what Clinton did was he released 11 political prisoners. You know what I'm saying? Now these political prisoners could have been released a long time ago. But the thing is, you gotta understand something about this liberation movement. Is that for the FAON, the Fuerza Armada de Liberación Nacional, also known as the Macheteros, and for the PNP, Partido Nacional Puertorriqueño. Yeah, Partido Nacional Puertorriqueño. That's Pedro Albizu Campos. So FAON was clandestine. Know what I mean? You see what happened with them. I don't know where they at. Whatever they do, they do. Know what I'm saying? For those that still locked up, power to the people. Know what I mean? They need the freedom. Because one thing that I'm about to say is this. Even with the PNP, for those that was out there like protesting for the Puerto Rico and they got locked up, these were social workers, teachers, regular people, know what I mean, that got locked up during the second wave. The first wave was the guerrillas. The second wave was the community activists that got locked up. And that's why people kept, know what I mean, it's a book called The Struggle for Justice in Puerto Rico. When you read that book, right, The Struggle for Justice in Puerto Rico, you will understand that political bullshit strategy that Clinton, the Democrats did, that Clinton and Hillary did. So Clinton let out 11 political prisoners, right, to get the love from the Boricua people. So like that when his wife was like, yo, I'm gonna run for New York, it's like, yo, you know what? Her husband just let out 11 political prisoners. You got my support. But we're gonna see where the fuck they at when it comes to social democracy. And when it comes to what we need for East Harlem and any other Boricua communities here in New York City. And anywhere else where you have Boricua communities. So I believe Hillary's still in office, right? Right? And I believe Clinton does some other shit right there, like funding stuff, right? And not only that, we do have above ground politicians who promote social democracy, but they run under Democratic tickets, right? So, yeah, and they good. Well, you just gotta make sure that the formerly incarcerated people are not renting out. You feel me? All right, cool. That's why Nobody Owns Party, Malik Alim, is speaking for the voice of the voices for those who are incarcerated and formerly incarcerated as well. See, everything works itself out, alhamdulillah. For their resistance, like Mexicans, Puerto Ricans have had to pay a very high price, including massacres, bombings, imprisonments, assassination of their people. This repression is exemplified by the fact that today, United States prisons, there are 15 Puerto Rican men. All right, 15. This book was produced, the PCM was produced in 2001. 1998 was when 11 of them got locked. I gotta do my research on this, see how many political prisoners still locked up. All right, I gotta do my research on that. All right, cool. This repression is exemplified by the fact that today in U.S. prisons, there are 15 Puerto Rican men and women serving disproportionate sentences for their activities on behalf of Puerto Rico's right to be free and independent nation, to actualize themselves as a free people. And this year, that means 100 years of colonialism for Puerto Ricans and 150 years of Mexicans. We are calling upon all our Latino, but we just got Oscar out, so upon all our Latino brothers and sisters to join us in a practice on colonialism to reflect upon these long years of mental, physical, cultural, and psychological imposition of colonialism. And that's why I say it's all mental, man. You got that colonial mindset, you got to take that colonial mindset out, man. You know what I mean? Can't be operating here on that colonial mindset. With the Noble Owners Party, we don't operate on the colonial mindset. You know what I mean? All right. So, we are calling upon all Latino brothers and sisters to join us in a practice on colonialism, to reflect upon these long years of mental, physical, cultural, and psychological imposition of colonialism, as well as the cultures of resistance. Whoa, this is, wow. This is a passion. This is my passion. All right. This is why I also go to college for. So for those of y'all who be with that idiotic bullshit, telling me, oh, but you're going to kindness, that's the system and all that. No, we're not dumb, asshole. We have to operate within the law, number one. Number two, we do understand that in this society, heck, no matter what party, socialist, communist, whatever, capitalist, don't you want to make sure that whoever you're hiring has some type of proof, that they have some type of training, that they took some type of test to prove that they are qualified to do whatever job that you want them to do? So that is essential. Because I am aware that, a college degree, it is just a piece of paper, facts. But let's not forget that when it comes to the ruling class, they know a college degree is just a piece of paper too. But it's about the quality of education. And that's what we fight for. It's about the quality of education, because at these private schools, they groom the ruling class. Private education, private dance classes, all these fraternities, social clubs, parties. Feel me? They grew them. So if they can groom them, why we can't groom our people? Feel me? Alright, cool. Let's go back to this. This repression is exemplified by the fact that today is, like the charter schools, what I'm talking about. Like the Antonia Pantoja charter schools, like the Don Pedro Albizu charter schools, like these are the schools I'm talking about. And if it is not an actual school, or let's say like Ostos Community College, or let's say those are like schools, or let's say something like, and they don't have something that's in existence, because the Boricuas did a lot of things, I'm saying, from the own laws, all of them, they did a lot of things. They brought a lot of things to existence. It's just that in this day and time, we got to fight to keep the shit. We got to fight to keep it because they trying to take the shit. And we got to fight to keep it. And not only that, we got to make new shit. Like make legacies. We got to see what's happening. We see that fascism is trying to creep up. We see that, capitalism, is not all of what it's cracked up to be. We see that. And we see that anarchy might creep up in this motherfucker. And if that does happen, that's going to be dangerous. So regardless of the what system, anarchy, capitalist, socialist, the one thing that's important is the people. So, and one is to make sure how we survive. And that is not to depend on no type of system. So you got to learn urban gardening. You got to learn horticulture. You got to learn how to do things from like grassroots. Operation Bootstrap. And that's the reason why in the party, people come from all walks of life. Some people are college educated, some people are not college educated. Some people got skills, computer skills, some people don't got computer skills. But guess what? Each one teach one. And that's where we all get to have these skills, you know? And then we will have our documentation saying this one got the skills. So therefore, one didn't have to go to no fucking Ivy League school and spend thousands and thousands of dollars and be drowning in fucking debt. No. But we have someone that came from them Ivy League schools, now I'm saying, and giving back to the people because they see the bullshit. That's what we're talking about. And that's what Atrévete comes into play in the future. You know what I'm saying? But right now, let me do this No Buyolos party thing. Alright, cool. As well as the cultures of resistance which have continually fought against it. You went to the store yet? Yo, Carmen, you went to the store yet? Oh, nah. Alright, she probably did. Sorry about that. I was hearing some noise. We are calling upon you to let your creative juices flow, whether you are a cultural worker. Alright, this is what a cultural worker is. You see Monique Alain, the Barrios poet? Alright, this is a cultural worker. A poet is a cultural worker. A musician is a cultural worker. A journalist is a cultural worker. A graphic artist is a cultural worker. A muralist is a cultural worker. A dramatist is a cultural worker. So what are we as well? No Buyolos party is what? Pushing cultural revolution. Alright. Now I mean independence of Puerto Rico. Self-liberation, self-determination. Thank you. So now let's go right here. Alright, teachers, lawyers, engineers, doctors, children in the street, women at work, youth in the school, paint murals, write poetry, write and direct plays, create videos, hold teachings, whatever you do, organizing in the name of anti-imperialism, began the Mexican sojourn into internal colonialism. Mexicans were now to be excluded from the civil society. The usual pattern of U.S. federalism was initiated. The incorporation of the land by the settlers and the exclusion of the native inhabitants. It should be noted that no state has entered the Union since the adoption of the Constitution at the initiative of the native inhabitants of the territory. Instead, it has been the settlers who have petitioned for incorporations. A perfect example of this occurred in cases of Hawaii and Alaska. Wake up, mi gente. Listen. Look what happened to Alaska. Look what happened to Hawaii. You know what I mean? And you see this country is racist when it comes to people speaking Spanish. You think they want people that speak Spanish as a state? You know what I mean? Like they go like, oh, that they're gonna have to learn Spanish to when they go to Puerto Rico to speak Spanish over there, because in Puerto Rico all the courts is in Spanish except federal court. In federal court they have to do it in English. But it'll be a beauty that even federal court could be in Spanish. That way, when people are being tried, that's why all Boricua prisoners is political prisoners. Because when the Boricuas are getting arrested in Puerto Rico, they go to federal prisoners. And the fucking jury, now I'm saying, matter of fact, let me put it on like this. When Boricuas get incarcerated in Puerto Rico, right? Boom. Most of the time, they don't even go to fucking court in Puerto Rico. They go in the fucking federal court somewhere here in the United States. So the fucking jury is not even fucking Boricuas. The jury is people who fucking speak English. And they don't even have a jury of their peers. See that bullshit? So you see that federal occupation? Now I mean, we citizens, right? Boom, speak Spanish. Bam, in Puerto Rico, they speak Spanish. Spanish is the language. Spanish is the official language of Puerto Rico. And English is too. That's the colonial part of it. And that's the bullshit that when Boricuas get arrested in Puerto Rico, although I'm not bigging up crime, I'm just pointing out the fucking the injustice of the federal system, now I mean, in regards to what happened. So that's what I'm fighting against. I'm fighting against injustice, and I'm fighting against U.S. imperialism. I'm not bigging up crime. So what I'm saying is that if a community activist, what I'm saying is that if a student or whatever, now I mean, is doing these cultural revolution, right? And you have some stupid ass assholes, some stupid ass politician want to make a fucking stupid ass point and want to do the political repression again and start locking people up. And then start making them go to all these fucking different federal shits like they did with the other Boricua political prisoners. You know what I mean? So we're making sure that same shit happens. So we still got to fight against that. Because that shit is still there. United States imperialism is still here, so we still fight against United States imperialism. And that's what they call self-determination. And as it says, the liberation of the people continues. Que viva Puerto Rico libre. Boricua power, black power, brown power, people power. One Lord, one people, stay noble. You gotta give me a minute. I know this piece is a little long, but I told you to get your Bustelo. This is called Wake Up Call. Wow. Ooh. All right. Ooh, wait. Okay, there we go. So let me finish this piece because I know, I mean, in haste there's waste. So I wasn't really trying to rush to this because as you can see, whenever I do my show, The Underlocking Key, as I'm reading and I'm giving you both sides, you know, you also see my reaction because my name is not just my name is my name. I'm Money Kalim. This is knowledge. You know what I'm saying? Like, my mind don't operate like that. Like, if I see something is wrong, like, I'm gonna speak out against it. Like, if I see something is speaking for something, you see how I am. Like, I'm like, wait a minute, that sounds like some racist shit. Wait a minute, that sounds like some imperialist shit. Wait a minute, that sounds like some deceptive intelligence. I don't care who's saying it, whether it's Muslim, whatever. Like, I'm gonna see that shit. I'm gonna say something. All right. And this is the beauty of the paper. You know what I'm saying? Hey, oh, listen, man. If you love this, if you love what you hear, you know what I'm saying? You could get this newspaper on your own. It could be emailed to you. It could be mailed to you. But for Mindless International Movement, let's put it like that. I'm not gonna put it for Noble Young's Party yet, because I still have to get a lot of things in place. I still have to get a lot of things in place. You know, like for like, you know, if you do donations to give you a tax write-off. So I still have to do that in place. So I'm gonna hold off on that. But if you want more information, trust me, just continue to come to my YouTube feeds. More information, continue to go to YouTube, Facebook, the Noble Young Lords Party group is there. Ask to join, and I'll let you join. I have two groups. You have the Noble Young Lords Party Orientation Unit, and then you have the Noble Young Lords Party group. And then you have the Noble Young Lords Party page. Those are three. All right. All right, so now let me go back. Women at work or youth in school, paint murals, write poetry, write and direct plays, create videos, hold teachings, whatever you do, organize in the name of anti-imperialism. All right? Now, the usual pattern of U.S. federalism was initiated. The incorporation of the land by the settlers and the exclusion of the native inhabitants. It should be noted that no state has entered the Union since the adoption of the Constitution at the initiative of the native inhabitants of the territory. Instead, it has been the settlers. Oh, I already said all that. By the time of incorporation, the native population has been reduced to an insignificant percentage. Mexicans, yo, that's not done. Hold on, how much more I gotta read? All right, I'm almost finished. Okay, I'm almost finished. Give me one moment. All right, population has been reduced to an insignificant percentage. Mexicans on the other side of the United States imposed border, never recognized it as a legal border. As a matter of fact, in 1922, a report to the United States Secretary of Labor reads, the psychology of the average Mexican unskilled worker from Mexico is that when he enters in any manner into the United States, that he is only paying a visit to an unknown portion of his own country. He is independent and does not consider he is an immigrant alien, but rather in what is termed the United States by right of birth and possession, the country of his forebears, the territory acquired after the War of 1846, and the territory subsequently ceded in 1854, known as the Gadsden Purchase. To him, there is no real or imaginary line. It is clear that historically Mexicans have denied the existence of the border. They don't see themselves as coming illegally into the United States, for it is the United States that crossed the border illegally into Mexico. The recent anti-Mexican hysteria in this country embodied in the passage of Proposition 187 in California is an acknowledgement of this reality by sectors of the establishment. In other words, it is clear to the Pete Wilsons of this fucking country that a Mexican problem exists. Their answer to the Mexican problem is to deport them, to construct the tortilla curtain. These efforts are to no avail. There is a historical problem created 150 years ago which needs to be resolved, and no racist legislation, no tortilla curtain, no militarization of the so-called border, no attacks on bilingual education, no attempts to set back the clock on representation by the challenge of congressional districts, no moves to continue to seize Mexicans' natural wealth as evidenced by the NAFTA, that's the NAFTA is North American Free Trade Act, at the expense of the indigenous and popular masses of Mexico, can stave off the final solution, a Mexican solution to the Mexican national question. For the past 150 years, Mexicans on both sides of the so-called border have resisted and attempted to come up with a Mexican solution from the earliest resistance of so-called father Jose Martinez. I'm sorry I had to say it like that, but if you claim, for those who claim Christian and claim Catholic, I'm gonna put you on point on something, right? I'm Muslim. I'm gonna put you on point on something. The Bible says this: do not call no one father other than your biological father or the Almighty. That's the only two you call father. Not no priest. That's some man-made shit. All right, let me go back right here. For the past 150 years, Mexicans on both sides of the so-called border have resisted and attempted to come up with Mexican solutions from the earliest resistance of priest Jose Martinez, Devocio Vasquez, and Las Gordas Blancas to efforts. I'm sorry. If a Catholic priest right here, I tell him with all respect, I'll call him priest such and such. I'm not calling him father. Nope. Mexican newspapers and the Pachucos to the Chicano Mexicano movements of the past decades. All these efforts have caused the Mexican people, despite imprisonment, lynching, exile, and danger to their lives, their resistance has been kept alive through the dangerous memories transmitted from generation to generation to generation to generation. Que viva Noble Young Lords Party. Here we go. Political Compendium Manual. Colonial Resistance. Keeping in mind these questions. What have these many years of colonialism meant to you? What does it mean for your future, for our future? How are issues of the attacks on immigrants, right? Gentrification, criminalization of youth, criminal injustice, the national question, political prisoners, police brutality, interrelated with this reality? Question mark. And I close with that. Malik Alim reporting here for the Underlock and Key, the voices of the voiceless, for all the comrades as in the belly of the beast. I am the chairman of the New York State chapter for the Noble Young Lords Party. Boricua power, brown power, black power, people's power. One Lord, one people. Stay noble. Noble Young Lords power. Power to the people. Stay noble, baby. Gotta keep it noble. It's all about nobility, babe. It's all about nobility. Stay noble. It's about self-determination. It's about self-representation. It's about liberation. And it's about being agents of change and makers of history. Noble Young Lords Party. Revolutionary salute.